So welcome back. So in this part of the video we are going to see how we can start activating this to-do list to look exactly like what I showed you earlier. So in the first part of this video we've played around with the basics about DOM, how to select, how to get text, how to change element, DOM transversal, and adding event listener. So let's try to apply those knowledge and see how we also apply what we learn from other classes, more especially algorithm, loops, if statements. So all those what we have been learning in the JavaScript fundamentals and what we just learned now to actually add these functionalities. So what I'm going to do is to do a Control A and Control X. So I want to create a function and put code. So just a dummy name. And what I actually want to do is to put this inside a function so that it deactivates all what we've done. So that is why if I click, if I come back to this tab, you see all those hours it's gone. So remember, if you create a function, if you don't invoke it, it will not run. So that's why everything is bare blank. So all we need to do now is we have something here, so I need to remove that too. So let me remove that. Go to our HTML. Notice something. So let's comment this out. We are going to use this in the second part of the last part of the video. So let's comment it out since we don't need it now. So if I go back, I'm saying this is quite clean. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is to activate this dark mode. But how does the dark mode work? Well, from what I showed you earlier, once you click this button, it changes the entire background to dark, then changes the color to a color that we can read. Then the text here changes to what? To light theme. So when you click the button again, it changes, so it just toggles. So that is how the dark mode work, or the theme works. So what we want to do now is this: we want to write an algorithm for that. Remember, an algorithm is a step-by-step approach for solving a problem. So let's do that. So I'll go to my to-do, I'll come here. So this one is activate dark mode. So the algorithm for this is, remember, you select the button and body tag, because remember from what I just explained now, if you click the button tag, then to change the background color of the entire body. So we also need to add an event listener. So we want to add an event listener to the button tag. So add event, add click event to the button, so that on click it will change the body tag. Then what I want to do is to toggle text of the button to indicate next state. So like now, from what the button is showing me, that if I click this, I'm going to the dark mode. So if I click this and I'm at the dark mode, the next state is to show me light mode. That means if I click it again, I'm going to go to the light mode. So that is what is happening there. So this is the steps. So let's begin to flesh that out. So the first thing I want to do is to select my button and body tag. So I'll select nav btn should be equals to document dot query selector. So of course we'll do that by saying dot nav button. So you're going to verify this short while, then let nav be equal to document dot query selector, not the nav, rather the body. So body should be equal to query selector body. So let's test this as consider.log now btn now button body. So if I do that and save, I'm going to see the button and the body tag, which is nice. So I can clean those now. So the next thing is to add event listener to the button. So now btn, so I can add here, selecting required elements or tag. And here we are adding so excuse me, click add click event to button. So that's what we are doing here. So now btn dot add event listener, then type of event you want to add is the click event. Then what do you want to do when this event happens? We want to fire this anonymous function. Now by anonymous function, it means the function has no name and we cannot reuse the function apart from this context. So that's why it's called anonymous function. So what do you want to do when the button is clicked? So we want to change the body tag. So add a click event. So I can put here on click we want to do what? First of all, toggle toggle, let's use the word toggle body background, then still on click. So I can index this. I can also toggle the text to the next state. So on click, let's first of all toggle the background color. Now earlier I showed you how to use the external, how to add CSS using external CSS. So let's create the external CSS because that will make sense. So let's scroll down to see if I already have it. So we already have this, but the dark mode is not dark, so let me increase it more. So to that, so if I save that, and indeed, so the dark theme is this, so the color is this. So you notice that this dark theme is not applied anywhere, so we are going to add it now using our CSS. using our JavaScript. So what I'm going to do now is body dot class list dot toggle. So that this toggle is an inbuilt JavaScript method, so it will add the class. If the class does not exist here, then it will remove it if it's already there. So on click, it will be doing that effect for us. So excuse me. So I'll put this there. So that is what will happen now. So if I click here, I will have this. Click here, I'll have this. So this is not looking dark. So let me change that. So there's an alpha. So let me use 0. Just use black at once. So that I have my black, so it's looking actually dark mode, and it's nice at this way. So you see, so if I click it as, I click it remove, click it add, click it remove. So the next thing that I want to do is this. We want to toggle the text. So now to toggle the text, we need to find out when it's adding the class and when it is not adding the class. So to do that, let's play around. So console.log body dot class names. So use class list when you want to add or remove a class or toggle. Then class names to read the class that are available. So if you want to read an ID, you put .id. So if I do that, once I click here, I'll see I have the dark theme. Click again, so the dark theme is no longer there. So if that was an ID, so you can use ID. So let's see if there's an ID. So you click, you notice there's an ID. There's an ID each time, so it does not toggle. So unfortunately for us, you can only toggle a class, not an ID. So it's appropriate that we use our class name here. So what we want to do now is an if statement, that if the dark theme exists, class exists, we want to change the text of the button to the next state. If it doesn't exist, we'll bring it back to the default state. So what I'm going to do is to come here and copy this, then I'll put, say, if, or just stringify. I just put this inside the string so I can really have access. Dot include. So what does it include? It should include the dark theme. So if it includes, remember in our JavaScript fundamental, this includes returns a boolean if it's fancied. So if there's a dark theme class, it's going to return true. At that point, we want to change the now button. The now button dot text content to light theme, but else we want to change it back to default. So just to save some time, I'll bring this. No, one is okay, so bring it down. So I just change this to dark theme. So that is how it works. So if I come here, I click, so notice it changes to light theme. Click again, it changes to dark theme. So that is how we activate the dark theme mode. So on your own, you can practice adding more of them. So you can do that using maybe a drop down list or something else, but this is just a principle that shows how that works. So the next thing we want to activate is, so let's do it from top to bottom. We want to activate the search feature. So to do that, we need to target the form, the search form. So let's go back to our HTML. So we don't have a form for that, but we have is a class, then the input. Then we just want to make sure that whatever is our types here dynamically is adding the search feature. So let's try the algorithm for that. So actually what we want here is this. We don't need the user to finish typing before you click search. We want it to be in real time. So if I type X now, it's going to search through the list of tasks to find out any of the list that contain S and shows it. If it doesn't show it, if there is no match, it will show an empty text here. But if it is empty, then we are going to see all the tags. So the criteria for showing all the tags will be that this field is empty, and if we type something that does not match, this field will be empty. But if it's empty like this, here it's going to be filled with the default task. So let's do that. So the first thing we need to select, so let's write the algorithm for that. Add search. So to do that, the algorithm for that is this. We need to select the search input and all task. So whatever tag is holding all the tags, you have to select that. Then we'll add, so the next thing is we'll add key up event listener. Key up event listener. Now why we're adding a key up, because from what has been explained, if I type J, I need to release the key before the event will fire. I don't want, when I'm just typing the J, it should fire. So that is the key up. So you can either use so let's make it generic. So add the right or accurate, the right event listener. So after we add the event listener, of course, to the search input, to the input, then the next thing I want to do is we want to make sure that on event fire, that is when the event actually occurs, we want to make sure that we first of all we get all the tasks, then search the, they want to compare the typed text with the task text. So if we do that comparison, we also want to find out, so let me put some bulletin stuff here, so like arrow, so that one of the one that is a new bullet. So now the next thing that I want to do now is, when we make this comparison, if the type text exists, we want to find out the task the actual task li. So if you notice here, so the actual task li that has the text and show them, else we hide them. So that is just what we want to do. So we get all the tags, we compare the type text that is from the search input with the task, so all of them. Then if the type text exists, we'll find out the task li that has the text and shows them, else we hide them. So that is how the search feature works. So if this was from a database, so once you type something here, it will just easily come. That is if you're searching from a database. But if you're searching within the loaded web content, then it also does the same thing, but perhaps on a new page. But the principle is what we want to understand now, or apply now. So let's do that. So let's select what we need to select. So put our add search, so this should be this. So add search, so first of all we select elements. So I'll have my let search input be equal to document dot query selector. So remember is dot search space input, then let all task be equal to, remember it has a class, so we have search space input, then we have tasks ol, so ol holds the text for the tags. So all tags, so we have a document now. Something else is going on here. So which step will be better? Is it getting the entire text? So if we get the entire text, how do we know the exact parent that matches? So we are going to play around. So there are more than one way of doing something, but so we'll try different approach. So other approach will be to get all the all the list tag, then get their text content, then do the match. So that looks promising. Okay, so let's play around with that theory first. So first of all, let's get all tags. So we'll do the first one, document dot query selector dot tax ol. So let's do our console.log search input or task. So let's see, we have all of them. So what I want to do now is this. So console.log or tax dot text content. So let's see how that works. So let's do a quick search. So dot includes let's use do. So let's see what's showing us true. Then let me use index of. So it's showing us the index rather than this. So this will make it very difficult for us to find out the li that actually holds that tag and actually work with that. So that will not work for us. So let's use the query selector, or so let's get all task, which is actually the tag. So we make this as the li. So of course this comes with a new added code, so we need to do our for each. So all tax dot for each, then have our li, our arrow function, then we have our console.log li. So that is not, so we need to use a query selector or. So that's why it's throwing this error. So now we have all of this. Now let's get the text content dot text content. So you see, we still have the same thing, but let's make a search now. So dot includes let's say do. So icing is now showing us what? False, true, false, and actually it is the second one that has that. So let's so what we can do here now is let's play around with this. So this is how you actually convert your algorithm. It must not always be straightforward, but you use what you know so excuse me, to get what you want. So if I do this, so if there's a match, then I want it to output the li that holds that. Sorry, that should be a mistake. Console.log the li that pass that test, which is true. So if we do that, I'm going to see this. So you see, so what I can do now is to hide the rest. So you see, this approach fit into our algorithm, which is search search what that will be right here. Okay, to search we need to compare the type test with the tax test. So let me add that one. To search, compare, that. So let's now, so we are done with this, get all the tags, then to search. So actually we've just solved the problem of how we search, but let's now see how can we get the item that the user typed. So we need to add event listener. So let's make this one here. So this one is the first one, this one is the second one, then this one is the third one. So on event fire, so let's add the right event listener. Now we'll add the right event listener to the search input, because that is the one that holds, that the user will type, and we'll use that to search. So we'll add a key of event listener. So we'll do that first. So adding event. So to add that, our search input dot add event listener. So we have our key up IntelliSense, please leave the way. So I have my anonymous function. Okay, so what I want to do is to consider log whatever the user type in real time from here. So it will be search input dot value. So if I do that, notice what will happen. So search, so you see it's working. So if I increase it to caps lock, but there is one last thing we didn't add in our algorithm. I just remembered it now. Because JavaScript is case sensitive, before we compare, we want to do something. Convert search input text and task text to what? Lower case or what? Upper case, not lowercase, upper case. Now why are we doing this? We are doing this because JavaScript is case sensitive. So the one we did there before, do as capital DO, is not the same thing as small letter do. So we don't want to enforce the rule that the user must actually type exactly what is here. So whether it's small letter or a capital letter, that should still search the same thing. So we have to convert them to the same case. So let's do that in our algorithm. So to do that, come here. I'm going to add let lower input be equal to, so again string. So I just like to use string so that I will not have some unwanted error. So search input dot to what? To lowercase. So that will convert that to lowercase. Then one of the issues here is, okay, it's not an issue, but just remember that when you're working with event listener, you can't have an event listener inside another event listener. So what we need to do now is to bring this line of code inside the event listener. So the next thing that I want to do now is to also convert the entered text, the text in the tags to the lowercase. So we'll also do the same thing here. So let's lower tasks be equal to string. Then we have li dot text content dot to lowercase. So by this now we have converted this to the search input to what? To the typed input. So with this now, so let me give some space. So now with this now we can actually make our condition. So instead of using this now, so the next step according to the algorithm is to search, compare the typed text with the task text. So we want to check, just as we did here, we want to check if what the user typed exists in the available tags. So we are going to refactor this, our condition to, instead of this now, we'll now change this li to lower task. Then we'll place this to what? To lower input. So we are checking if the input user type exists in the tags. So if it is true, we want it to show us that error. So let's still check this to make sure everything works fine. So I'll come back here, I type J, so include undefined, so maybe there's a typo error there. So there should be no text content again because I've already converted it. So the include does not match, so I need to remove that text content. So as a developer, there's a need for you to understand why your code is not working. So let's type J, S. So we're not getting the tag, so let's do step by step. So if the search input matches this, we want to display this. So let's say else. So let's do something here. So let's add, first of all, found, consider log, not found. So if we do this, let's see if that fires. So if I type J, so I'm seeing not found 3 times. So that means I'm getting false. So if I backspace, not found 3 times. So let me refresh. So let me type T. So it seems our condition is not working. So let's check if lower task dot includes lower input. Okay, because we didn't add dot value here. So remember, here we're adding dot value, and here we didn't add. So typo error once again. So let's do that. So if I type J, so you notice it's showing me found, not found, found. So of course there's J here, but there's no J here. So now we can show the actual li that does that. So constant log the li and not show anything here. So if we do that, let's see. So if I type J, so you notice I'm getting only the first one. So okay, I'm getting the first one and the last one. So by the time we now activate the CSS, that means this one will show, this one will show, and this one will not show. Nice. So if I type D, so of course to see that clearly, let me remove this, clear this, and type D. So I'm seeing actually there is D here, and where else is there D? L2, L3. Is there D here? So I'm not sure, let me check again. D. Okay, it's even including the click event. Okay, so that is, so even though, so that is an error that we need to fix now. So even though the text does not show here, actually what we're actually taking for is the text here, not this other one or that. So we need to refactor our code. So let's make it show just the text, but that is good for us because we can use our DOM transversal to get the first element child. So dot first element child. Now that makes sense because from each of our lists, the first element child is a task, and that is where we want to get the text from. So if we do that, that will solve that issue. So let's test again. So you see how I'm testing it one by one, so that we will not write the conditions finish or the codes finish and we'll start debugging. So we debug right on the spot. So if I type D now, so you notice I'm getting only this. So that's nice. So the next thing I want to do now is to now add our CSS. So what I want to do now is we can decide to hide the li that does that. So I can put li dot remove. Okay, we'll just leave the li if it's here, but if it's not there, I'll just remove it. So li dot remove. So if this does not work, it will work, it should work. Then we'll use the CSS method. So let's see. So now if I type J, so you see it worked. So if I remove it, it's not replacing it. So we are going to use the CSS method because it's meant to add and remove. So if I type L, so if I type Z, no match. But if I remove Z, you see it doesn't come back. So it's not dynamic. So what we are going to do here now is, if there's a match, we'll do li dot style dot display equal to flex, else. So actually this one deletes it from the DOM, but this one just hides it. So if the condition is false, it can easily bring it back. So we change this one to display none and comment this out. So let's do that now. So if I type my J, I think I have written the reverse. If it is found, it should display. If not, it should hide. So let's see, do I have J in all of this? Have I saved? My display is not spelled correctly. Okay, so let me type J. So you see, but if I remove the J, everything comes back. So that's how we activate our search feature. So if I type do, so you see it's only this one. So the more accurate, the more I type, the more the search scope reduces, and the more it narrows it down to one particular element. So if I type take, so you see, if I type Java, so you see the step I took, Java, if I type tutorial, so you see it works. So that's how we activate our search feature. So you see how the algorithm helps us to have a roadmap and work that. So after you finish with a code, you can decide to remove all the unwanted console.log. They have served their purpose, so we can remove them now. So that's nice. So that's how we add that's how we activate the search. So the next one I want to do now is this. We want to activate the delete, adding delete. So we want to make sure that by the time we click on any of these tasks, 1, 2, 3, it's actually delete. And by the way, our handle click function is not there, so that's why it's showing an error. So it has served its purpose, so let's just remove it all at once. So if I do that, the error is gone. Nice. So let's now add the event listener. So now what we want to do here now is this. Once user clicks on this delete, it should delete the task. Then so if this delete button was not there, what we would have just done is, if the person double clicks, it should be off. Double click it off, double click is off. So but let's use this method. So anyone who want to use, we can do that. So let me show you this one, then you can on your own. But when you're practicing, you cannot see how you can activate the double click for it to actually delete. So let's do that. So we want to click, if we click on any of these tasks, you should actually delete the exact task that we click. So let's write the algorithm based on this understanding. So from the output you can walk down to the code. So you click on a particular delete, it deletes the parent tag that owns that delete. So I will not click on this first one and click and to not delete this last one. No, that is not how it should work. So let's write the algorithm for that. So the algorithm for that, Shift Alt A, is, of course, we select the task. We select the task and the delete tag. Then what we want to do, so let me add the bullet so that we can know the next line. So the next thing we want to do now is to add our event listener. So we add event listener, is it to the task or to the delete? So we'll find that very soon. Then for what I've done, if clicked or if fired, so if the event listener is fired, so what we want to do is delete the parent tag that delete the parent tag of the button that caused the delete. So just like I explained earlier, I will not click the first delete and it deletes the second one or the last one, so it should delete that one. So that is how we do that. So that is actually the algorithm, but if there is anyone, remember you can always come back to activate to modify your algorithm. So the first thing is we select tag. So I want to select my tags. So here we added it as all tags. Let's save it as. So I'm going to do Control G. That's the only place we used it. So I'm going to change it as all task li. Because now actually what I want to do now is to select all tasks. So let all task or instead of the all tags you can use tags OL should be, because it is the OL tag that holds the listing of all the tags. So this is this one, so tags OL. So if we do that, document dot query selector space dot tags dot or space OL, so that will give us that. So now do we need to select the delete tag? Well, actually we don't need to do that because what we actually want to do is this is a most efficient way. If we select all of this, that will still work. but this one is kind of like also efficient too, because if we select all the delete tags, then what we're going to do is to add event listeners to them. Then as long as it has this class delete, so if we press this delete, you just look for the parent and delete. Now that is the second method. Now the first method I want to use, which is the one I will use, I'm adding an event listener to this, so that when I click here, if it has a class of delete, it will look for the parent and hide. So we don't need to target the the tags delete. So what we just do is tags dot add event listener. So we're adding event listener now. Click. Then our anonymous function e. So by this method we'll get to play more with the DOM transversal. So adding event. So now when I click this event, I want to show you the e.target. So if I click on any part in this square, so if I click here to show me the tag that caused that delete, I click here, it shows me the tag that caused that delete. Now this is very important, because remember, we can read the class. So if the class if the click tag has a class of delete, then we can say look for the parent. So if it's this one, I'll say the parent element, of course, is to get me the li. So I can do that. So that way, if we add new task here, it will still have the same functionality. So it will still work. So let's do that. So let's get the class. So dot class name. So if I do that, come here. So if I click here, I'm seeing a class of li1. This I'm seeing delete. This I'm seeing delete. This I'm seeing delete. So let's now make a condition. So I'll call this out. So I'll say if string dot the class name dot include delete, then it should fire. Then what I want you to do is to indicate to me the parent tag that caused that delete. So I'll just put the same thing here, which is console.log e.target dot parent element. So if I do this, so let's see what will show. So if I click here, so nothing fires. See, but if I click here that has delete, you see it shows me the parent element. I click here, it shows me the parent element too. I click here, it shows me the parent element. Now one thing we can do here to encourage users is to change the cursor here to a pointer cursor. So let's do that. Let me switch off my So let's do that. So let's go to our CSS. So look for the task, look for the delete, I can also do that using my JavaScript, but let's save ourselves some time and add a cursor pointer. So that is it. So once you add that, we'll come back here. You notice this has changed, so it's now encouraging the user that this is clickable, even though it would not actually use a button but use a span tag. So what we want to do now is this. So once the user clicks here, we want to hide this. So I can do my console. I can cut that off, paste here, then dot style dot display what equal to none. So if I do this, I'm going to, if I press this, you see it's off. I press this, is off. I press this, is off. So one thing we can add is, this delete, the person might not actually know that this thing is actually working. So only for the person to know that once I click the person one. So we want the person to be aware of his or her action before we carry it out. So we can add a confirm. We can add a confirm button. So let's do that. So let ask user be equal to confirm are you sure you want to delete this task? So backslash new line, so I can use my back tick there. Action cannot be reversed when started. So let's see how this shows. So first of all, we'll deactivate activate the delete. So let's see. So if I click this, so it's going to show me, are you sure? So this card is not actually working. Are you sure I want to delete? Action cannot be reversed. So if the user clicks OK, it's going to proceed. So let's make sure that is working. I think it's not this backslash, is this other one. It's not forward slash, it's backslash. Let's see. Okay, so that has worked. So are you sure you want to delete this task? Action cannot be reversed when started. So let's get the person's response by now using the ask user. So ask user. So if the person, so it returns a boolean. So if the person clicks no, so action is false. Yes, it is carried out. So that clinches it. So what we need to do now is this. So if ask user, So remember, if statement will fire if the action is true, and since it's returning a boolean, there's no need to say if something equal to that, so just put it there and we can get rid of this young man. So that is it. So we've just added some nice functionality. So if I click on this, so it's not going to delete if I choose no, but if I choose yes, of course young man is gone. So that is how we do that. So the next thing I want to do now is to activate this add task, so that if the user clicks here, this field is required. So if I click, see, it attempts to submit the form and it's empty. So let's try to activate this now. So the last thing we want to activate here is the add task. So to do that, we need to write an algorithm, of course, to serve as our roadmap, a plan. So how the functionality of the add task work is this: I type the task I want to add here, I either hit enter or add task button, and it adds this either on top of the task or below this, and it looks exactly like this, so that both when I search and when I delete, it actually works like this one that was hard-coded. So to do that, the algorithm is, we've already targeted this one, which is the tax OL. Then we also need to target this form or this input. Then once I type and hit submit, so on submit, it will create these forms the way it is. So we have this our li to span tag of this, which we've already created earlier. So I'll just copy that code and inject it where I need to inject it to save some time. So let's begin. So the algorithm is this: we select the task list and the add task input. So let me add some bullet to make this distinguishable. So the next thing I want to do now is to add event. So of course I need to add an event listener, so that when the user hits enter or the add task, it will fire an event. So when the event is fired, we want to create task list element. So we want to create it exactly the way it is. Then of course, once we are creating it, to add text and attribute. Then I want to rearrange. Then we want to add to DOM. Then we want to reset form, so that the form does not get does not keep the text that was just added. So let's select the task list, which we've already done that, which is our task OL. Then to select the task input, so let's do that. So this our task input belongs to a form. So we are going to select this form. So the name of the form is, the class is add tasks. So copy this. Then we also select the first child, which is the add task. So let's do that. So let add form be equal to document dot query selector. Then we now have this, so dot, I paste this. Nice. So let add input be equal to add form dot first element child. Remember that from our to do here, this input is the first element child, then the button is the second element child. Nice. So we've done that. So the next thing is to add event listener. So we need to add 2 event listener. Now the first event listener is, okay, we just need only one event listener. So we only add one event listener to the form. So why do we need to add it to the form? So I can control how the form behaves. If not, when we submit, if we attempt to submit, notice what happened. It will refresh the page, and by that we've lost the data. So you see, so we need to prevent that behavior. So add form dot add event listener. Then the type of event I want to add is submit. Then we want to add our anonymous function. So when this event fires, we want to prevent that default behavior. So e dot event default. So we'll do that. So that means if I come back to my browser, I hit this, I tap add task, or I hit enter, you see it does not refresh, attempt to refresh or submit the page. So until when we are done, that's why we are resetting the form. So next we want to create our element, add that. So to save ourselves for some time, let's go back to our code, to the old code. So let's copy from here to here. So actually that's what we need. So I'll do that. The rest things we'll just add them. So Ctrl C, I move down, I come down here. So what I'm going to do now is to paste that here. So we have our li which we've created, we have our span tag. Now instead of this, so I think it would be nice for me to show you, which we've already done that. So to get the input that we'll type here, just like we did here, just say the search input variable name dot what value. So that being said, so we've done that before. So inside this span tag 1, I'm going to replace this with the add input dot value. So whatever the person types there, that's what will be added to this. Then we are adding the right attribute. So the attributes that we are adding, so let's confirm again. We have li1 tags delete. So let's also make this dynamic. So I'm going to come above here, I'll select li count be equal to 3, because 3 is the last one. So in my setting of attributes, remember the li1 and li2 is in the first one, so I'm going to change this to a backtick. So I have my first li, then I want to insert the variable, so li count plus equal to 1, so it will just increment that. Okay, nice. So that is exact. So we are now arranging, so we use append or prepend. So the next thing now, according to our algorithm, is we add to DOM. So to add to DOM, I now select my tax ol dot prepend, so that will add that to the top. So my li, then of course we want to reset form, so we're going to do that by saying add form dot reset. So let's try that out. So if I come back here, I have a form, so I'll say sleep on time. So if I hit add tags, I have an error. Create element on the tag is not a valid, then so JS289. So let's investigate. JS289. Oh, that was on create element. So I did it in the wrong place. So this was meant to be the normal li. So my intention was to do it here. So let's see. So I need to add a backtick. Okay, error of omission. Okay, so we have that. So let me add that. Error, fix your bugs. So if I click on this, so I have that here. So of course if I want to delete it, if I say yes, it's off. So but there's one error now. Remember, according to what I taught you in the algorithm, once you write an algorithm, you can handle some errors. So just like we handled for this one now, we don't want the user to unknowingly delete a task. So we want to get his consent first, because of course the action cannot be reversed when started. So what I want to do now is there's an error here. It wants I continue to click. Okay, the error has been fixed using HTML attribute, so I can't submit an empty form. But does it make sense for a task to just be A? See, it doesn't make sense. So that is the last fix we want to do. So we can decide that the form will actually be updated to DOM if the length of the text entered is greater than 2 or equal to 2. At least it begins to make sense. So what I'm going to do here is this. So if string add input dot value dot length is greater than 2, then we want to add to done, but else, and we don't want to also reset the form so that the user will know so that the user can continue typing where he left off. So else we can create an alert tax not meaningful. So let's try that. So already we've used our vanilla, our HTML attribute to prevent submitting an empty form. But if I try to type something like, let's say W, so they show me an alert that tax not what meaningful. W does not mean anything. So if I type something like maybe gym or GY, you see is still not meaningful. But if I spell it correctly, gym, so that makes sense now. So you see gym, then even though what the user want to do is can be too late, that the person can extend it by using it to sentence like go to PH. So of course PH stands for Port Harcourt. So instead of just typing PH, which will be rejected, can put that go to what? PH, and that is it. So that is how we have used what we've learned so far to activate this tax, this to activate this form. So I'm trying to check why it's bringing out this here. Okay, so that is it. So in our next video we'll continue with some advanced topic like class, and after which we are going to create our own custom alert, such as when the user enters this. So instead of this normal one, we'll create the one that we'll create our own. Then instead of this normal, this we also create our own using the alert and model feature. So that is it for this video. So I'll see you in the next video.